Just to give a quick recap, if you remember right on day 200, I killed the Ender Dragon. It was pretty easy, though I essentially spent the last 100 days preparing for the fight, so that wasn't too much of a surprise. So I hopped back in the end portal and watched the credits roll. And after that, you simply just spawn at the last place you slept, that being my end shack. So now it's day 201, we're all caught up, and I've got to run back to my compound to resupply. You kind of beat Minecraft when you kill the Ender Dragon, but there's still a lot more stuff you can do. This game is massive. I'm gonna try to beat Minecraft and 100% all of the achievements by the end of 300 days. And if I don't get that, at the very least, we'll fight the Wither on day 300, so you can look forward to that. But at this point, I'm just excited about my carrot stonks. And it took almost a whole day, but now I'm back at the end shack. We've got to finish up some business here. And now we're back in the end. This is the place where I fought the Ender Dragon, and time's a little weird down here, but it's certified day 202. My iron golems never stopped fighting those Endermen. You can see he's hard at work here. Several of them died, and I made a memorial that will stay here for all time. One of the first things I did was create a tunnel from the spawn so I don't get attacked by any Endermen. This tunnel leads all the way to another end portal. It's very safe. That's how I like to do things on hardcore. So now on day 203, if I look at this end portal and throw an ender pearl into it, it will transport me to the end. The real end. You gotta know the first thing I did was install several safety features. Yeah, sure, it takes a little longer, but I prefer to do it the safe way. This is hardcore. If I die, it's over. And by the end of what I can only assume was day 203, I had a completed tunnel. You know, if you think about it, this tunnel goes all the way back to my main compound through several different roads. And this road's only gonna get longer. I'm tunneling my way through most of the end. You can't tunnel the whole way through though. Most of the end is a dark abyss. And for that, I'll use this ender cheese that I got from tunneling to construct long roads. This is likely my most dangerous infrastructure so far, but you don't need permits in the end, so I'm up to code. I apologize for looking at the ground so much. I've got to avoid eye contact with these endermen or women, but that thing in the distance is what we came here for, an end fortress. It's really dangerous, as you can obviously see. If you get hit with one of those projectiles, you get stuck with the levitate effect. Normally it's very dangerous, but I was able to use it to my advantage here. Once inside, I just played it very safe, using dirt and my trusty pickaxe Tim to mine my way through. And once I figured out how to kill these things, this place was a breeze. Violence and brute force is always the answer. This is a smaller end fortress, but I was still able to get some pretty good loot. Tons of gold, emeralds, and 4 diamonds. But on day 205, we're back to tunneling. The real prize still awaits. It didn't even take too long. About 10 minutes later, I found a real ender fortress. Now this one's large, like really large. There's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of ways to die. It's absolutely gorgeous though. If this place wasn't so dangerous, I'd live here one day. But that thing's what I'm here for, the end ship. And if you look inside of the ship's hull, you'll find the legendary elytra. The entire reason we came here was to get the elytra, and now we have it. And it's only day 205. And of course I didn't forget to mine the dragon head on the front of the ship, and as you can obviously see, it was all worth it. Nothing like possessing the head of your enemies. I'm just gonna tell you right now, day 206 involves a lot of traveling through the void and on a horse and eventually back home. Last thing I did before bed was deck out the treasure room, and now it's day 207, where I'm chopping down trees, just like old times. Though this time around, instead of a stone axe, I have an enchanted diamond one. Because I can chop a lot faster now, I had all the wood I needed for my next project. It's just a very simple pillar made out of wood that goes all the way to max height. I couldn't even really get a good view even when I cranked it up to 32 chunks. The elytra's a flying device, and I had never used one before, and I figured this was probably the best time to try it out. And now it's time for our first elytra flight test. From all the way at max height, I'm gonna try to fly into the villager town. I had no idea where I was going. Nothing really rendered. Awesome! I flew way far away from home, and now I have no idea where I am, and it's dark out. I wasn't worried for a second. I had my trusty compass. We're gonna give it another shot on day 208. I gotta put the ladders on here anyway. This time I flew a little closer to the ground and was able to get my bearings and make it all the way to L-Town easily. And then of course I quickly got to work on installing another airport. I can use that airport to glide all the way from L-Town to my main compound, even over these mountains. And you know, there's just something beautiful about my base from the sky. However, the elytra's already at half health, which is definitely not beautiful. On the morning of day 209, I wasted no time and used my trusty bucket to catch a fish for an achievement. I'm not sure why anyone would want to do this for any other reason than the achievement, but you know, it's there. The Minecraft achievements are pretty wacky though, and some of them can be quite difficult. I've got a lot of work cut out for me in these 100 days. One of the achievements involves having every potion effect applied at the same time, and I started that long odyssey today. I ended up not having about half the ingredients I needed, so this one's gonna take a little bit. And now I'm in the nether. How did this happen? Unfortunately, there's a whole list of nether achievements, and they're literally hell. I said earlier that on day 300, I'll be fighting the Wither, and in order to do that, I need to kill about 1,000 Wither skeletons. Each one has a 2.5% chance to drop a Wither skeleton skull, and this one dropped one here, but I need 3 of those. I also needed to shoot a regular skeleton from over 50 meters away with a bow, and I got that one here. After a quick resupply on day 211, I kept working on nether achievements. This time I had to bop a ghast with his own attack. Not that hard. Then I started some hard labor working on a massive tunnel through the nether for another achievement. Every block in the nether is worth 8 blocks in the overworld, and there's an achievement for moving 8,000 blocks, which I got here. Well, I guess there's a random portal to the underworld here, 8,000 blocks away from my home spawn. I might as well kill these cows. I'm from out of town, so there's no way they'll be able to identify me. I brought a beautiful white horse back with me before I realized he can't come back with me because my tunnel is too small. Well, enjoy your new life, horse. It's your problem now. As soon as I got back to the Nether Fortress, I started killing Nether skeletons again and immediately got another skull. Wow, that's really lucky. I got a ton of achievements and 2 Wither skeleton skulls, so I decided to quit while I was ahead. I got up bright and early on day 212. I'm gonna be working my hoe until she breaks. It's an achievement to use up the entirety of a diamond hoe. It's also a funny euphemism. I'm killing 2 hoes with 1 gat here though. I've been meaning to clear out the land between these 2 villager towns for a long time. It didn't even really take that long. About the entire daylight hours, or about 8 minutes. That night I was able to find a zombie villager who's part of another achievement. I tried to trap him with dirt, but he just didn't want to stay imprisoned. In the end, he chose death. I would have too. I wasn't recording for day 213, so I'll just show you what I did. I made this map. I like looking at it. I had to level up my villager cartographer, and I also want to make a bigger version of this in my main compound, so this was kind of just practice. I was also able to purchase an ocean monument map from the cartographer, and that should be pretty entertaining. And after a large amount of travel, the next morning I was at my ocean shack, ready to take on this monument. It took about all of day 214 just getting there by boat. It was pretty far away. And I'm already leaving on day 215. I'm not really supplied for this thing. I gotta run back home real quick. I should have prepared, but I did not, and I'm paying the price for it. It wasn't a total loss. I was able to collect a little bit of ocean monument blocks and activate my conduit outside my compound. Now, any water around my compound, I can not only breathe forever, but also see underwater pretty well. And by the end of the day, I was ready to go back. I had some Depth Strider boots and a Respiration 3 helmet. Getting back to the ocean monument was a lot easier. I had the coordinates, so I could just fly there. Didn't even take half a day. I also had a master plan for conquering the ocean monument the Luke the Notable way. And my master plan to conquer the ocean monument involved nothing but this cow. Getting the cow into the ocean monument was probably the hardest part, but I did get him in there. Why the cow, you ask? Well, the worst part about an ocean monument is the mining fatigue. When you get hit with this, you can't mine anything. But thanks to this cow, I have unlimited white stuff right here. So, no more mining fatigue. You're not supposed to be able to mine your way through this dungeon. It's supposed to be a difficult maze, but I broke that, and it's very easy. This legendary underwater maze turned out to be pretty easy, and all I needed was a cow. The prize of the ocean monument is 8 gold blocks, which is normally pretty tough to get to, but for me, it was pretty easy. Then by the end of the night, I was back home with a bunch of gold and victory. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with all this gold. I'm becoming too rich. It's really a problem. Day 219, for once I was tearing down walls instead of building them. Shortening up the walls really opened up the compound. I like how I can see everything now. And to tell you the truth, I've wanted to get rid of this hilly portion of the compound for a very long time. It took pretty much all night, but I've cleared out a lot more space for myself here. I didn't realize how much land was being completely unused until I got rid of that hilly portion. And I've got some pretty big plans, so I'm gonna have to burn down this forest outside of the compound. It's the most efficient way. At night, I was able to find another zombie villager and trapped him inside of this dirt hut for later. I also killed a ton of phantoms, which I like doing now. They're fuel for my elytra. The next morning, I went to check on my zombie villager and he despawned. Ugh. I then took out my aggression on someone unarmed and weaker than me. I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out how the bees work. I really have no idea. By the end of the day, I had 1 beehive, which for me was a great success. And at night, I slept in the first villager town. It's been a while. We're back in the main camp for day 222. I'm preparing to build a big map here. I decided to use my basement mine, and I quickly ran into some issues involving lava. Though I only had to get enough iron to make a few compasses, so I'll be good. And this is where my map will live. Once it's made, it'll look awesome. I lied. I need more iron, and there's no way I'm building an iron golem farm. That's just inhumane. And you know, caves haven't been that dangerous, especially since I invested in some diamond armor. And look at that, after a long hard day with no paid lunch, I had 59 iron. I was so excited I just sat there all night smelling the fumes. Alright, now it's time to map out my land on day 224. It's time for a tax assessment. It's really not a difficult process. You just go to a corner of your land and map it out, just like that. Then you go back to the main map and place it where it's supposed to be. It's pretty easy. I didn't want to venture out too far. It did get dark out, but I got a pretty good amount of it done today. I'm also finally disabling that mine shack I built all the way back on day 1. I've never used it once. I'm gonna build some proper storage. The chests in my house can get a little bit cluttered, and by that I mean totally cluttered and not even usable. But before we do that, we have a map to make, and thanks to my elytra and rockets, it was pretty easy to get pretty far out there. It took all day to get the far pieces, even with my rockets and elytra, but it's gonna be worth it, I'll show you. The map turned out better than I ever could have imagined, and you know, I can always make it bigger. I could easily stare at this thing for the next 75 days and nights, but I should probably get to work on something more productive. You know, hell can be pretty productive. I only need 1 more wither skeleton skull, and I want to make sure I get it before I get close to day 300. Though that skull only has a 2.5% chance of dropping, so I'll have to get pretty lucky. I was down there for a while and killed several families of wither skeletons. On day 228, I even found an unexplored part of the Nether Fortress where I got some diamonds and gold. But by day 229, some of my diamond armor broke, and I just gave up. It's not safe to be down here. I need more diamonds, I always need more iron, and I probably should have a proper mine on my main compound, so that's what I'm doing here. It's also built right next to my storage, so I can put all my my cobblestone and other assorted items in here when I'm done mining. But I'm not gonna mine at night. It's been like 10 days since I've slept. Not to be like every other Minecraft YouTuber out there, but I wasn't recording for the first part of day 231 and got some diamond armor. You're just gonna have to believe me. The rest of the night I took the Grand Luke the Notable Canal to my ocean shack. Apparently there's turtles here, but I don't know how they work. I'm sure they'll be useful eventually. But until he becomes useful, he'll stay here, imprisoned. Sorry the frame rate's bad, I got it on 32 chunks. I'm just looking for some new land. I'm mostly just burning my time until night. I've got to kill drowned. I've never found a trident and I need it for several achievements. These are the drowned. They're pretty easy to kill with my depth strider boots. I never found a trident, but I did find some pillagers. I'm indifferent about the situation. I left with the bad omen effect, and that's all you gotta know. Plausible deniability. I slaughtered more drowned zombies at night with my Smite 4 sword. It's pretty easy, but I never found a trident. I mean, one of the drowned threw about 4 tridents at me, but I never got one. I found a jungle temple on day 234. I lost about 30 days of work in one of these before, so I was pretty careful. The loot was okay, just barely worth my time coming down here. On my way back home, I ran into a pillager outpost, and one of the best ways to take one of these down is to land right on top of it. Again, the loot was pretty trash. I don't even know why I came to this thing. I was just gliding home when I flew a little bit too close to this town, and the raid started on it. Uh-oh. I really don't have time to help. I hope you kept good ancestral records. Day 235, I was just trying to forget about all the innocent souls I just killed by planting some bamboo from the jungle. After that, I figured we could just clear some more forest. The efficient way. Doesn't that look far, far easier than chopping? You see that big open field? That used to all be trees, until I burned them all. I found that village I accidentally sent the raid to. Of course, they're all dead. It's a shame, it was actually really close to my main compound through the forest. You might also notice that this is a different horse. The other one burned to death. Kinda like this. The next day, I went out searching for some bees' nests. I only have one, and that's not very efficient. I found another outpost and couldn't stop myself from killing the inhabitants. Everything was going swimmingly until a pillager captain killed my horse. Oh, you're gonna pay for that one. Tomorrow, this peaceful villager town is gonna be overwhelmed with raiders. It's gonna be a lot of fun. For me. It shouldn't be too bad. I've got a nice protective wall around the entire town, so I'll be able to just shoot these guys from a distance. The first couple waves of this raid were pretty easy, if I'm being honest. The wall did most of the work, though it went from 0 to 100 real quick. What even is this? I also ran out of arrows, so now I'm hiding. As you can tell, I was not prepared for this at all. Ah! Without arrows, I had to use my sword to kill all of these pillagers, which is not the way you want to do it. The fighting was so intense, it lasted all the way until day 239. And this isn't even the end of the raid. That was just one wave. There was no way I was gonna live that situation, so I ran away in defeat. But I got a Totem of Undying, and that was really all I did that for. If you hold this thing in your hand and take enough damage to die, you won't. It's also an achievement. I thought of no better way. I'm back to mining in day 240. I lost some diamond armor in that raid. Oh look, I recorded myself mining diamonds this time. How rare for a Minecraft YouTube series. I got about 100 iron, some gold, diamonds, and obviously a lot of coal. We gotta do some more mining on day 241. As you can see, I'm only down to some diamond pants. Because I've got the storage right nearby, it's way more efficient down here. If I fill up on cobblestone, I can just fill up my chest with it. I don't have to choose what sort of resources I can pick up anymore. I pretty much pick up everything, like this gravel. And like I explained earlier, after a long day of mining, I can just go right next door to my storage shed and stow it all away. I'm still mining on day 242, but I actually need this cobblestone for something. We'll get to that later. Because I just found an abandoned mine shaft. It might be infested with creepers, but it's probably got a lot of loot in it. At the very least, I'll be able to save a lot of iron by mining up these rails. If you don't think about it too hard, each one's kind of like mining a bar of iron. And mining up some gold always puts a smile on my face. It was a big mine shaft. I was down here for the better part of 2 days and found a lot of useful items. I got a diamond, some name tags, and even melon seeds, which I didn't have yet. And I have no idea what I'm gonna use these 5 stacks of rails for, but it's nice to have them. My inventory bursting with juicy loot, I decided to go home and built a reverse staircase to the surface. Compass, you've been my only friend through all of this. And I'm not really sure if it's day 242 anymore, but time gets a little funny when you're down in the mine. Day 244, I was just going to grab a horse from L-Town when I realized that raid is still going on. Uh-oh. Luckily, one of those horses I abandoned was just sitting right here. I didn't even have to retrain him. I quickly found a better horse and we got to know each other over some nice breeding. He's decently fast, has an okay amount of health, and can jump over walls, which is really all I need. And for the first time ever, I'm naming a horse. I'm gonna call him Warthog. Resupplied and ready for action, I went back to fight the raid on day 245, but everyone was gone. At least I got a free Totem of Undying. I had 2 or 3 master villagers here, and they're all dead now. So I went over to L-Town and maxed out all my credit cards to try to feel better. Okay, I was not recording for the real day 246 and some stuff happened. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure why, but I fell all the way down my ladder from the top floor. I didn't die, I had my Totem of Undying, but now I have a safety feature. I'm not really that sad the totem's gone, I'm more upset that I didn't record the whole experience. Anyway, we're venturing out into the great unknown with my Woodland Explorer map. I got this from the cartographer. It'll take me to a woodland mansion where I can find some more loot, kinda like the ocean monument. I'm not really sure how many blocks I'm gonna have to travel, it just points you in a general direction. Luckily, a good portion of the traveling was over the sea, and thanks to the boats in this game, that was pretty easy. I traveled all day and didn't find anything except this witch hanging out on her own property, minding her own business, who I killed. Her cat is now my property. What do you mean it's gonna cost 19 levels to fix my elytra? This is ludicrous! I didn't know that these mansions can be tens of thousands of blocks away from your main spawn, so I made the decision to quit. But I burned down the witch's house just to say that I did something while I was out here. It also made me feel a little better about wasting so much time. Good news is I only have to walk back about 15,000 blocks. Woohoo! At least I timed it right and spent most of the nighttime, which is the most dangerous of course, in the ocean. I used my elytra very sparingly. I didn't know it was gonna cost so much to recharge it. But by the nighttime of day 249, I made it back to my land. You can pretty much see it from a mile away. I'm checking on my honey stocks in day 250, and as you can see, they're at an all-time low. So I just decided to farm. It's been a while. By the end of the day, it looked like I generated some honey, but I still don't know how these bees work. Doesn't matter though, because after about 12 days of labor, I got my first honey block. There's an achievement for jumping onto a honey block to break your fall, and that's what I'm gonna be doing today. At least that's what I thought I was gonna be doing. It didn't seem to work for me. All I know is that this fall should normally kill me, and the honey block prevented it, but I still didn't get the achievement. The rest of the day, I leveled up my Fletcher to master, and he'll sell me a piercing 2 crossbow, which I can use for another achievement. Day 252, I ventured out in search of another village. At the rate mine keep dying, I probably need to find another one. I didn't find a village, but I found another witch who I obviously killed. Hello, cat. I'm your new owner. I'm very cruel. You'll get used to it. I wasn't recording for day 253. I spent all of my time corralling these cats into this house. It was easily one of the most difficult things I've done so far. Oh, and it's finally time to put all of this cobblestone to good use. But that'll have to wait until tomorrow. It's getting dark out. Yep, we're building a mob farmer. A pretty simple one, but a mob farmer. I'm mostly just doing this to get a little bit more gunpowder and XP at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I was almost finished. But not quite. It's incredibly simple technology. Zombies, creepers, and skeletons will spawn on these platforms, and the water will push them into the center. And because the entire thing is covered in dark, they'll spawn 8 minutes a day and 8 minutes a night. I originally said 24/7, but that's just not accurate for Minecraft. I was 90% done and ran out of cobblestone though, which is just disheartening. Well, I know one thing that always lifts my spirits. We also have an absolutely apocalyptic problem developing. My throne room! Ah, the view! Instead of having an absolute mental breakdown, I decided to just mine. It's a little cathartic. And diamonds, well, those are just straight euphoria. I left the mine with all the cobblestone I needed, 64 iron and 10 diamonds. A good day. So day 257, I continued construction on my completely ethical mob farm. I finished with a good amount of daylight left and went to go farm some more trees in the swamp. I'm gonna need them for something. But at night, I was almost instantly distracted by these skeletons riding skeleton horses. I want one. Huh. That was pretty easy. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or intentional, but you can't put a lead on a skeleton horse just yet. Whatever, he'll just roam around. And because time passes, now it's the next day where I'm expanding my house. Don't let me confuse you here, this is 100% all about vanity. I'm pretty sure by this point we're at 13 or 14 floors, and we're only going higher. You see that white stuff at the top of the ladder? Those are the clouds. And after another long day of house construction, I assured that my new throne room will have a perfect view of the sunset. I also upgraded the throne a little bit with a nice diamond seat cushion. We're gonna do some more exploring on day 260. I won't get lost. By this point, you can see my wood from space. Yes, that was a penis joke. By the end of the day, I found the ocean and made a little shack out here. I'm hoping to kill some drowned in the meantime. I killed several drowned, but none of them dropped a trident. I don't even need it for a weapon, it's just for an achievement, come on! Day 261, I found a pillager outpost, and after taking the trash loot inside, I decided to burn them all alive. They just stood there as the lava overtook all of them. It was quite satisfying to watch, and because I have the elytra, I was able to fly away before the cops showed up. I've definitely been to this desert before. It was at some point during the first 100 days. It turns out this desert was fairly close to my main base, which means I never really had to build that ocean canal. Well, it ain't a Luke the Notable 100 days video without a good old-fashioned road project. It's definitely not my proudest creation, but it's a useful one. You see, the whole reason I wanted to get a useful connection to the desert was for the glorious, glorious sand. I can turn this sand into glass panes and glass bottles and sell them for massive profits at L-Town. For now, though, I'm gonna use these glass panes on my house. Embezzlement is the way. Day 263, I harvested my melons. The farm isn't that efficient, but I had to set it up all by myself, unlike some other Minecraft YouTubers out there. I then took a short trip back to the desert and started shoveling more sand. This is a top-tier investment right here. You know, these fumes might be bad for my health, but nowhere near as bad as being poor. Day 264, I got my fisherman up to master level, and he'll buy oak boats for me for 1 emerald, so obviously I'm going to exploit that. Farming was just the beginning of the profits. I wasn't recording for the daytime of day 265, but I'm back in the main camp for some action in the night. There's an achievement for killing 2 phantoms with 1 crossbow shot, and it's pretty difficult. I was literally up all night trying to kill 2 of these phantoms with 1 shot and never did it. Oh well, on day 266, I went back to leveling up my villagers, and this weaponsmith just got to master, so that's the last one. I am insanely rich though. From that 1 inventory of sand a couple days ago, I'll get about 200 emeralds. You guys already know I got the cake. And I'm also starting to stockpile some of these mob items like gunpowder from my mob spawner. The bamboo I planted earlier also grew, and it just looks nice. I spent pretty much all of day 268 fishing. I'll need them for tomorrow. I also happened to acquire one of the best fishing rods in the entire game. It's got the curse of vanishing, which just means if I die it gets deleted, but if I die the whole world gets deleted, so that doesn't really matter. So not only does this one have luck of the sea, which makes me more lucky while fishing, it also has mending, which means it actually repairs the fishing rod every time I catch a fish. Later I was fishing by the mob spawner when I noticed a zombie villager spawned. Yo! But by the time I got back with the necessary items to complete the achievement of healing him, he despawned. Oh well, now it's day 269, the best day in the whole series. I figured today was as good a day as ever to start breeding the cats. They have all been bred to work, like every other creature in this land. Anyway, that night I ventured out on my boner horse looking for another village. I did not end up finding a village, and my horse died. I stayed up all night avenging him. I can't believe it took me until day 270 to build a netherwart farm. I also started the slow process of grabbing more obsidian. I'm gonna need it when I inevitably go back into the nether. I spent the rest of the day cleaning up the track between my main compound and the desert. There's a lot of trees in the way. And that's pretty much what I did all day. I said there was a lot of trees. You know, I don't miss the swamp that used to stand here at all. Who needs them? I was just exploring the vast desert on day 271 when I found a village. Whoa! There's so many of them! And they're all breathing! And now they're all imprisoned for eternity. I don't know if I'll have enough time to fully deck out the sand village, but I'll at least be able to get some of the other villager professions that I don't have at L-Town. And if I had a cartographer in this village, I could sell glass panes to him with the unlimited nearby sand. You know, I said I was looking for a new village, and it's easily the best case scenario that I found one in the desert. Today was a good day. Day 272, I found a cat. I'll make him my friend through fish. He was a stubborn little guy though. I fed him a lot of fish and we didn't even become associates. I checked, and it took 11 fish to make him my friend. Finally, day 273, I started by changing this villager into a leather worker. He'll sell me dyed leather chaps, which I didn't even know existed. I don't want him anyway. I don't really get the point of dyed leather armor. It's not like I'm gonna wear that stuff. I'm just gonna end up dying with it. I then turned this villager into a librarian, and he'll sell me bookshelves for a pretty terrible exchange rate if I'm being honest. Money's of no concern, so I got him to master very easily, and he'll sell me name tags. Nice. And by the end of the day, I was back in L-Town to go buy myself some more money. With all the glass and boats and everything I can sell to these villagers, I got over 150 emeralds in a single day. Then by the end of the day, I took that massive haul back to the desert village. Day 275, I started by taming this cat. I might have not mentioned that there's an achievement for taming all of the different cat variants. I then got my leather worker to master, and he'll sell me saddles for 1 emerald a piece. That is an insane deal. Anyone else remember when I fished for like 5 days straight just to get one of those things? One of my other servants includes a cartographer who will buy glass panes from me for massive profits in the desert. And now with unlimited saddles and name tags, I corralled all of my cats. They're coming home with me. I'm glad Minecraft doesn't have a smell feature, because this pen is gonna get real bad real quick. Oh, I'm grabbing all the cats, you gotta know. Interestingly, a good cat can actually improve the efficiency of a mob farmer, so I'm gonna need a couple of these guys. We gotta give those cats some time to grow up though, so day 276, we're going back into the nether. I of course still need 1 wither skeleton skull, but hopefully with this massive portal, I'll be able to trap a ghast. I've gotta get a ghast to go through that thing and then kill him in the overworld. It doesn't sound hard, but it is. The basic accepted strategy is to use a fishing rod on a ghast and pull him towards you into the portal. It is definitely not easy. Why is everything on fire? Even if you can manage to hook a ghast, that doesn't always mean he's gonna go exactly where you want him to. This is a very difficult challenge. I'm cutting up this footage a ton. You're seeing a couple of close attempts, but you gotta know there were way more fails. Somehow though, on day 278, when I was just about to give up, the ghast went through the portal himself. The hardest part is getting him outside. Once he's there, it's pretty easy to kill him with 1 arrow. As you can tell, I was very happy. I'm still in the nether for day 279 though. Gotta keep killing these wither skeletons. I even upped my chances by increasing the overall size of the nether fortress with these nether bricks. But even after all of day 280, I ran out of pumpkin pie, and there's no sense in fighting a bunch of skeletons if you don't have food to heal yourself, so I had to go home. The first thing I did on day 281 is put my cats to work. If you put them in the corner of your mob farmer like this, they'll actually scare creepers into the center more often, and that means more gunpowder. And would you look at that, it almost instantly started working. But now we're back in the nether. I've got less than 20 days to get that last wither skeleton skeleton skull. I went all of day 282 completely dry, and day 283 was even drier. I had literally just resupplied on day 284, and one of the first wither skeletons I killed dropped the skull. You can see I pretty much just stood there in shock. Now that I never have to go back to the nether again, I was in reality and attacked by 2 phantoms. And one was caught in this tree. Now's my chance. I took my sweet time, lined it up, and with 1 arrow, got this achievement. This is what I was doing during the daytime of day 285. I just wasn't recording, finally putting those mine tracks to good use. It was always kind of a meme that I spent like 20 days on this road and never use it, but now I'm gonna use it. But as you can obviously see, it's not done yet. It even has a purpose. You're not really supposed to fight the wither near your main base, so I'm gonna fight them near this birch house I built. The minecart track isn't really necessary, but it's definitely one of those little luxuries in life that you need to have. I just need you guys all to know that I rode this thing back and forth about 30 different times. To fight the wither, you gotta do it at the lowest level of bedrock, and I was just building a shaft all the way down here when I jumped in some lava. No! I very calmly grabbed my ender chest and a bucket of water inside and put out the fire on myself. I remained completely calm the entire time. I felt better about the whole situation after I found some diamonds. Day 288, I had to grab some rabbit's feet, and I took them all forcefully. Listen, I didn't want to kill an entire generation of rabbits. It's not my fault the rabbit's foot only drops 10% of the time. I also got a level 2 bad omen effect, and this time when we do the raid, I'll actually come prepared. In the first villager town, there's a single solitary villager alive. He's a master farmer hidden in one of the houses. And 1 villager's all you need for a raid. This time I also came back with 4 stacks of arrows, iron golems, and tons of cake. They did spawn inside the village, but with 4 stacks of arrows, I could pretty much just snipe them all from afar, and they're pretty dumb, so they never rushed me. I mean, sure, it took a while, but with how much land this village occupies, it was pretty easy to run away when things got tough. And it took almost a full 2 days, but I was able to complete the raid entirely and become the hero of the village. I also got 7 totems, so I can die quite a bit now. Day 291, I'm just trying to make sure I have everything ready for this potion achievement, and I'm pretty sure I totally don't. Well, at least one positive thing I can take from this day is that I learned how mushrooms work. I also needed some essence of turtle, so Warthog and I went out to find some on day 292. I didn't find a turtle, but I found an orange cat, which I didn't have yet. Nice. I know there's turtles over by my ocean shack, I just didn't want to have to run all the way out there. I was hoping I could find some by the desert village. I didn't give up easily though. I was out all night killing monsters until the next day, 293. But then I found a desert temple, and I had to go in. The loot was pretty good. I got a book of feather falling, which would have been nice for my ender dragon fight. I also got some diamonds, which is just always welcome. I actually found a second desert temple, but it looks like someone already triggered the explosives on this one. This one was right next to the desert village. It was probably just an unsuspecting villager. Honestly, day 294 was mostly about organization and travel. Nothing really interesting happened, and by the night time I was taking my ocean canal back to the ocean shack. But now it's day 295, certified turtle time. Full disclosure, I had no idea how these things worked. I don't know why I try to treat every mob in Minecraft like they're cows or pigs, but turtles are obviously not cows or pigs. After a night of Googling though, on day 296 I was educated on turtle breeding habits. So kinda like turtles in real life, turtles in Minecraft will only lay eggs on their home beach. So you can't just lock a turtle up and expect him to lay eggs wherever he's imprisoned. You have to let him get back to his home beach. Good news is you can totally steal the eggs once he's laid them though, and that's exactly what I did. So by the end of day 296, I left my ocean shack with 15 turtle eggs. A good day. The good news is a turtle's home beach is wherever they spawn. So once all of these eggs hatch, they'll think this is their home, and I'll be able to breed them. However, turtles aren't known for doing anything fast, including hatching, so that might take a while. Day 297, I tried my hand at making a raid farm near the desert village, and I've already stated that I'm terrible with redstone, and it didn't really work. If anything, I just made an absolute mess of everything. Tell you the truth, I'll probably need at least 1,000 days to get this thing functional. Day 298, I started my prep for the wither fight. Thanks to all the work I did for the ender dragon fight, I'm mostly all the way there. You know, I've brewed basically every potion in the game 3 times already. Also, by this point, most of my good stuff comes from the villagers in L-Town, so I had to go there by the end of the night. Hey, a wandering trader was in L-Town on day 299, and he sold me 5 nautilus shells. Hopefully I could get a second conduit at some point. I then killed him for his leads. Can't let me catch you sleeping. And like any good gentleman preparing for battle, I made sure to carry plenty of white stuff. And that's pretty much everything I need for the wither fight. I've watched about 17 YouTube tutorials on it, and it shouldn't be too difficult. So on the eve of the wither fight, I watched the sunset in my throne above the clouds. Alright, today's the day. If I don't make it back, Warthog's in charge. Don't worry, the dog I don't talk about, I'll be fine. I'm gonna be honest, I think this minecart track is probably my favorite thing I built in these 300 days. To spawn the wither, you gotta put some soul sand in this sort of fashion, like an iron golem, and then you put the 3 wither skeleton skulls on the top. Make sure you drink your potions, and don't miss the placement like I just did. With that final wither skeleton skull, the wither will spawn, and now it's go time. He's got 2 phases. In the first one, you've gotta shoot him with arrows, and it's not very difficult if you've built a shaft like this at bedrock. He basically can't hit you. Once you get him down to half health, health, your arrows won't work anymore, and that's when it's time to pull out your sword. Because I've got a Smite 4 sword, though, I do an absolutely insane amount of damage, and wow, he's already dead. That was really easy. I also really over-prepared, like everything else I do in this series, and winning that fight has just given me more to do, like this beacon. What even is this? I've got a lot more Minecraft to play, and I guarantee you'll see more hardcore days from me. I promise. So make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next 100 days when these turtles inevitably hatch. Thank you all for watching. Please, stay notable, and I'll see you in the next video.